Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at the main cockpit cabin carpets and the rear deck kit and spare wheel cover for the Austin Healey 104 BN1 model. Now this video is essentially incorporating two main kits as well as a few optional hardware items such as overmats. You effectively got the main carpet set, which is the flooring area and gearbox area at the very front of the cockpit cabin area, and then you've also got the rear deck kit, which is effectively the flooring and rear shelf area behind the seats, which also incorporated the spare wheel cover and the sort of rear bulkhead area there. Now we sell the kit separately, and this video is actually showcasing an upgrade option that we can offer. So both the carpet set and the rear deck kit have actually been done in wool. Wool is our premium automotive carpet option, and one that we'd strongly recommend that people consider for all of their restorations, certainly for the main cockpit carpet area, as it is superior to the other carpet options in terms of quality, durability and finish. Please do see my other blog posts and videos related to that element, comparing them. But of course we can offer other options for people either working to a tighter budget or anyone that wants to go down the sort of original specifications routes, which for the carpet would have been Karvel, which was a ribbed Hessian backed carpet as per this. That's the original Karvel, which of course we can offer. Or the rear deck kit was done in Armorc, which was like a ribbed PVC with a felt backing, which is this material here. I will showcase both of these as we're running through, but this customer here specifically has opted for an upgrade kit where he's gone wool throughout, and in fact he's carried that on into the boot trunk area, which will also be wool. Please do see the video linked at the end of this one, which will showcase the boot trunk area as well as a repeat of the rear deck kit. What I try to do in these videos is showcase items that are related to one another in particular areas of the car, so that if you're considering one, you may wish to consider the other as well, so just bear that in mind. But like I said, this customer's gone for a complete upgrade in terms of that. Whilst we do a lot of wool carpet set upgrades, that's a very common theme. In fact, the majority of our customers do go with that because it is so superior to the other carpet options. For the rear deck, I'd say this is a bit of a novelty to have it in wool. Of course we do them from time to time, but most people do opt for the Armorc option for that, which is the original factory option. But this is the reason I've done this video, because I did want to showcase the wool upgrade, because it is a nice option if that floats your boat in terms of what you want to do for your restoration. So worth noting, obviously with our carpet options you have three main options. You've got nylon, you've got Karvel, and you've got wool. Karvel, like I say, was the original material used by Healey for the majority of their restorations. Wool is definitely the upgrade to that, and what I generally recommend. It's superior, as I've mentioned before, but also there's a much larger colour palette in the wool carpets than there is compared to Karvel, for example, which only has 4 shades: black, red, blue and grey. With regard to Armorc, there is a half decent colour range in that, so you can choose that as well. And like I say, most people do choose to go Armorc for the rear deck and spare wheel cover area and sort of boot trunk area on the BN1 models, but we can offer wool if you prefer. Let's also touch on edging. Edging is done in Leathercloth as standard, which was the original material used by many manufacturers during this era of manufacturing back in the sort of 50s, 60s, 70s. And it is the most suitable material to use for edging. Leathercloth, also known as vinide or sometimes referred to as Rexon, it's a PVC material, very much akin to vinyl but thinner and more robust than vinyl, which makes it ideal for edging carpets and makes it very neat as you go around corners with the stitching. You can see just there, I'm trying to focus in on the fold over there so you can see how neat it is there. Now we stay true to using Leathercloth for our carpets. We'll never ever edge a carpet in vinyl. But a lot of other companies do edge their carpets in vinyl, purely cost-saving exercise, because they don't want to have to stock another material. It's the same principle we have on our piping, which is also done in leathercloth, where colours allow. Now, for some piping colours, very small number of kits that colours that we offer, you have to use vinyl because the colour's not available in leathercloth. But for the majority of them, I'd say 80 to 90% of our colours, you do get leathercloth, and again, we do that as standard. Leathercloth is thinner, but it is a more robust topping to it, so you won't snag it at all, like vinyl, because it's a bit thicker. When you're wrapping it around piping like that, it makes it bigger, more bulbous, but also easy to snag, which is why we standardly do our piping in that. And it's the same sort of principle on the edging. It makes it a lot bigger, it makes it a lot wrinklier and easier to snag. So do bear that in mind. It's one of the many reasons and attentions to details that we're known for globally, which is why we are the chosen supplier to many high-end Healey restorers globally in that regard. With regard to edging carpets as well, obviously we use leathercloth, but then there's an element you can see some of the carpets have edging, other ones do not. That is all by design. Originally from the factory, Healey barely edged any of their carpets. I guess mainly as a cost-saving exercise, but also probably due to the inconsistent nature of the factory production line in terms of the shapes and sizes of the chassis. Now, over the course of many decades of making the same kits over and over again, we've refined our patterns, and like I say, we work with some of the leading Healey restorers in the world, and they trust us with our patterns and obviously give us feedback over the years. But these days they're pretty much set in stone because we've done so many of them. But we edge our carpets using common sense in that regard. So the general concept with carpets when they're edged is that if you have a raw edge on a carpet, then generally that means that when everything is said and done and put into the car, you will not see that raw edge. It will be either tucked underneath the adjacent edge of a bound carpet, or it will be tucked behind a panel or something like that. So a prime example of that is the sill carpets here. You get no edging on them. Obviously the top edge kind of butts up to the sill of the door, and then the bottom edge will be underneath the adjacent edge of the front floor carpets and the rear floor elements there as well. So that's a nice concept to consider with that side of things. And it means as well that what we've done is we've altered some of our patterns over the years to make sure that we're giving full floor coverage and those sorts of things. So for example, the sills are wider than they need to be to allow you to trim it down onto the floor to allow the other carpets to sit on top of them, which means that any sort of slight gaps in the should we say the bodywork would normally be exposed are covered up by those elements of things. So again, it's that considered design that we're known for globally, and why our kits are trusted by so many customers out there. It's worth noting at this stage as well, when it comes to Austin Healeys, we have supplied interiors for many of the leading names in the industry, shall we say. So not just the big restoration companies such as JME, Healey, Rules, Murray Scott Nelson, etc. But we've also supplied kits to some of the presidents of the leading Austin Healey clubs in the world, as well as supplying kits to concours judges. So literally people that spend their days and go to shows to literally judge to a concours level, we have supplied them with kits over the years. So I think that's a true stamp of approval of the quality and workmanship and fit of our kits. So bear that in mind as well. Now, with regard to the kits, like I say, you've got the carpet set. Now the carpet set, it's going to be hard to exactly point out here, is effectively everything in your screen at the moment apart from the rear floors. The rear floors are actually part of the rear deck kit, but for the sake of this video I had to kind of put them up there for obvious space reasons as well. Also ignore these bits here, which are the battery box straps. They're sold completely separately, but effectively everything else in the video screen at the moment, barring those straps and those rear floor carpets, that is the carpet set. You then had the battery box straps, which are sold completely separately, and then you have the rear deck kit, which is everything in the screen at the moment apart from the rear floors, the straps, and those bits there, which are the prop shaft tunnel bits, but effectively you've got the rear floors, you've got the sort of rear shelf lower bulkhead area. This is for the battery box cover at the top there. They're the wheel arches, they're the spare wheel cover bit, that's the rear bulkhead. So that consists of the rear deck kit there. So let's bear that in mind, but for the sake of this video, I had to kind of put them all together. So let's start at the front of the car, if I may, and I'll take this book with me to reference. So it's applicable to a BN1. The carpet set itself is only unique to the BN1, and it should be noted at this stage that it's actually for a right-hand drive car. We obviously have patterns for left-hand drive and right-hand drive, but there are only very subtle differences between the left-hand drive and right-hand drive, all related to the cutaways in the toe boards there. Also the heel pad position. This customer has actually opted to have just the heel pad on the driver's side, which was standard for most Healeys. But we can of course offer them on both sides, but he's only opted it for the right hand front floor. However, most customers, just as a general note, do opt for having the heel pad on both sides, and that's what we standardly offer unless you instruct us purely to put it on the driver's side, so just bear that in mind. But this is right hand drive sets. It's been done in dark blue wool. Like I say, wool is our premium carpeting material. Let's just show you. That's the wool there. It's amazing what a camera picks up compared to the eye. But anyway, we need to get this brush down. It's got little bits and bobs in it, but you can see the wool there. Now, a really good test of quality of carpet is to bend it in half and see how much of the backing you see. As you can see from now, you barely see any of it coming through there, and that's a true test. We do really recommend you get samples from us, because not only do we supply the best fitting kits and top quality and workmanship in the industry, but we also use the top end material side of things from the get-go, and there's a few other companies out there that do opt for cheaper materials, not just effectively like wool, for example. Just because they say it's wool, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the same quality of wool. There are different manufacturers of automotive wool out there, so we always do recommend you get samples from us to compare and contrast, and straight away you'll see the difference in the quality of some of the suppliers out there, so bear that in mind. So the carpet, premium wool, it's got the rubber backing on it, it's nice and flexible as well, but like I say, Karvel was the original, which has a Hessian backing on it. It's a bit stiffer, but it's got that very distinct rib effect going through it, and that was the original material that they used way back when. But this has been done in dark blue wool, and it's been edged in, I believe, Austin Healey blue leathercloth. Now we have two shades of blue for our leathercloth and vinyls for the Healeys. We've got Austin Healey blue and we've got dark blue. They're both dark shades, but Austin Healey blue is ever so slightly lighter, and that is original for the Healeys as well. They did use two different shades of blue. They didn't reference it, they just called it blue throughout their manufacturing era, but they did use different shades of blue. And again, we're the only company, I believe, in the industry that actually recognises that and acknowledges this and offers two options on there. So this customer, like I say, he's got a very premium kit, so the rest of his trim panels, he's gone for full leather in the smooth leather. Same with the seats, everything in full leather. And then obviously he's gone for the wool carpets and wool rear deck and boot trunk area. So if we start detailing all of these elements of kit here, let's start at the very front with this miscellaneous piece here. So that is the carpet for the passenger side under dash parcel tray. So there's a tray on the passenger side underneath the dash down there. I don't think we're going to get a better image than that, I'm afraid. Which had a piece of vinyl wrapping around and then carpet. So the carpet is included as standard in the carpet set. The vinyl is normally included in the trim panel kit, but obviously if you're wanting only a carpet set from us, but you think you want to replace the surround of the parcel tray, let us know, we'll include it, not a problem at all. So you've effectively got that piece there, which I put at a strange angle just again because it won't fit otherwise. Then you've effectively got the firewall area, so they effectively going into the engine bay, the vertical. So you have the toe board, you have a left hand toe board and a right hand toe board. The right hand toe board obviously has a cutaway there, which is where one of the pedal sticks comes through. Let's see, I'm sure I saw an image somewhere, not there. can see a couple of them, literally you just cut holes through them, but then the main throttle pedal on the outside there, you get a cutaway for. And then in the middle there, you had obviously the archway, which was for the main gearbox bulkhead area of the car, sort of up underneath there. Then moving slightly further back in the car, you had these which went up on the vertical like that, effectively alongside that piece there. So you get a pair of those, and they get some vinyl stitched to them that gets wrapped around the actual panel that it's trimmed to. Effectively there, we've just tucked it back on itself to keep it a bit neater for the purposes of this video here. So you get a pair of those. Then if we go to the sills, you get a left and a right sill. There are obviously the bits of carpet that span from front to back of the car, just down there, the step effectively that you climb over to get into the car. So that's the sill carpets there. They don't get any edging on them, and like I said, they are made deeper than they need to be, so they tuck underneath the adjacent edges, etc. You then get front floor carpets left and right. Obviously I've mentioned about heel pads. This is a right hand drive, so he's just had it on the right hand front floor, but it's a rubber heel pad and it has ribs on it and then the Austin logo right in the middle of it. Like I say, the majority of people go for heel pads on both the left and right front floors. This customer has opted to just have it on the driver's side, so bear that in mind. Then you have the sort of main gearbox tunnel carpet, and the BN1 was quite unique. So if we look here, actually that's perfect. That is a BN2, and that's actually what most people are used to seeing when they see a Healey carpet, because they did carry that design on throughout quite a few cars, where basically it was slightly to the side, but then it had a big long gearbox tunnel carpet piece, two pieces sort of stitched together. But the BN1 was quite unique. It had this section here, so it's like a square with a cutaway there, which where the gear stick comes out of. And then it had binding on one edge, and then the other edges had vinyl akin to that setup there, stitched onto the edge that then wrap around the actual effectively gearbox tunnel panel that comes out of it there. We don't pre-cut holes for the ashtray. That is a foolish man's game. That should always be done during the fitment to the car to make sure that the alignment is exactly correct for your car. So just bear that in mind. And obviously with the cutting of the hole, you just start off small, make sure you've got the position exactly where you want it before 100% securing it and cutting it to exactly the shape you need, making sure that obviously the chrome finisher of the ashtray itself will cover all of your cut. So that's that section there. Then moving slightly further back, you have effectively the prop shaft tunnel here, which I think I have. Do I have an image for? It's effectively underneath this centre cushion armrest. Yeah, there you are, perfect. It's that piece there, which again doesn't actually have any binding on it. It's all vinyl sewn to the edges. Again, it gets trimmed to a panel, so that vinyl is used to tuck around the edges, so that when everything is said and done, it has the appearance of binding on it because you wrap it round effectively, but it is actually just wide vinyl strips, about sort of 2 inches wide probably on there. So you get that piece there, and then right at the back here you had this rear prop shaft carpet here, which doesn't get any binding on it, and it has a cutaway there, which is for where the gear lever, not the gear lever, sorry, the handbrake cover comes out of there. Don't think I've got any other better images. Now, bit of a subject of debate as well, because I think they did change over the years. We include that as standard in our carpet set in carpet. There are definitely reports that originally from the factory they also offered that in Armorc. So if you prefer that in Armorc, just let us know. But as standard, we supply that in carpet, whatever carpet option you choose. So that's effectively the carpet set. Obviously, we're ignoring the rear floors for the time being, because that's strictly speaking part of the rear deck kit. But we also supply some pre-cut loose materials. Got a few bits and bobs. There's, off the top of my head, you get a bit that obviously covers the bodywork section where this gear stick comes out. I'm not going to be able to find it now. So it sort of covers up the bodywork section where that rubber gauntlet for the gear stick comes out. You get one for the inspection hat, which I believe is slightly lopsided to the side of this here, so you get a square for that. Then there's a bit for covering up the bodywork which sits behind this handbrake cover to the side there, which again is actually a repeat of one that we supply as part of the center console, sorry, not center console, the center armrest kit, which we supply a piece for as well. So if you're ordering a full kit off us, you'll almost certainly end up with a couple of repeat bits of loose materials like that, because we include them as standard in our individual kits if you follow. So yeah, you get a load of loose materials for the carpet set as well. And that's effectively the carpet set. Now, before we move on to the rear deck kit, let's just talk about a couple of other elements related to the carpet set which you may wish to consider. Fixings. So we offer the carpet fixing kit. It's sold separately to the carpet set, and it consists of 4 different styles of fixings. You effectively have the pop rivet and the studs, which get riveted to the bodywork of the car, the floor of the car effectively. And then you have this pronged spiky bit which literally pierces through the corners of the different carpet pieces, and that pierces through, and then you put that element on the back of it, which I can't do one-handed, and then you bend the spikes back, and effectively it will mean that you have that on the back of the carpet like that, which then pops into that, and hey presto, your carpet is secured to the floor. Now that's originally how they did it, and that's how we recommend you do it. Do contact us about fitting carpets. People go a bit too gung-ho with using glue. There's certain parts of the car and carpets that you obviously need to use glue for, but after that you really should be using the weight of the carpets and fixings and the overlaps between certain pieces to keep the carpet in place. Glue is a very messy approach, very one-way street, so we always say err with a bit of caution on that. But yeah, do contact us about the best way of fitting the carpets. More than happy to help. So obviously the carpet fixings, they're sold separately. And then you also have the underfelt kit as well. So there's effectively sound and heat proofing kit. Now we use a natural jute felt, very much akin to what they used way back when. Black, faces up towards the sky when everything is fitted, and they are effectively pieces that go underneath your carpet set, pre-cut to the sizes that you need. Now, very common question, do you need this if you're using modern day heat and sound shields like Dynamat or Dodo Matting, lots of brands out there? And the question really depends on how thick your modern day stuff is. I'm not going to claim by any means that our jute felt does the same job as the modern day stuff. Absolutely not. The modern day stuff is brilliant. I've got it in my car, and I'd highly recommend fitting it. We do plan to start offering that in the future, so do bear that in mind and maybe contact us to just double check. We plan to do pre-cut kits of that, but in the meantime we just offer the natural jute felt. So going back to the question, do you need it? Depends on the thickness. You've got to remember these carpets have been designed and templated with a certain thickness underneath them. Therefore, we recommend anywhere between 5mm and 10mm underneath the carpets to make sure that you get the correct fitment of the carpets in place. A lot of these modern day sound and heat barriers are very, very thin. They go down to almost nothing when they're put into the car, and in which case we would recommend that you use our natural jute felt as well, because it just adds that layer underneath the carpets to get the position of the carpets correct. Also adds a nice bit of an underfoot soft feel as well, so it's worth considering that. But if you've opted for one of the slightly thicker ones, anywhere between 5 and 10mm, then you don't need our natural jute felt kit, so just bear that in mind. So that's that element there, and again the underfelt kit is sold separately to the carpet. And then we've got these overmats. They are rubber. They've got the awesome Healey logo and name in the middle of them. They're ribbed. They have a grippy backing on them, and they're sold as a pair. And people like those because it means that it keeps your nice front floor carpets absolutely pristine. So again, they are sold separately to the main carpet set, so you may wish to consider those as well. So that's effectively everything related to the carpet set. Now let's move on to the rear deck kit and the battery box lever tabs. So let's get the battery box lever tabs out of the way, so they're nice, quick and easy. They're always leather. We've obviously done these in smooth Austin Healey blue to match the customer's main trim. They come with the fixing inserted in them, already, and we oversize them. Obviously you can lose a lot of that in the actual fitment of them. Don't know if we're going to get a picture of them. They effectively go there and there on the battery box cover behind the seats. So yeah, we'd obviously recommend getting those at the same time as the rear deck kit. But with regard to the rear deck kit, it obviously consists of everything back here, but it also includes the rear floor carpets. These are effectively the ones that sit directly underneath the seats. Now, this customer, like I say, has opted for the rear deck kit in carpet, so these are in carpet for his particular kit, but originally they would have been in the Armorc material, which I showed you earlier, which I also have here. So that's the Armorc material there. It's got ribs in it, felt backing to it. Please do check out video links at the end of this one, because I have done a video showing the Armorc rear deck and boot trunk kit. But you effectively get a pair of rear floor carpets. They have the cutaways in them for the seat runners below, obviously, the seats. You can just, there you go, you can make it out there. So that's the rear floor carpets there, and then you actually have the area kind of directly behind the seats. So you have this big panel here, which is effectively the rear shelf and lower bulkhead. Obviously the cutaway there is for the gearbox, so it bends up and round like that. Perfect. Yeah, so it's this big piece here with the cutaway, which we obviously don't pre-cut, so I'll go over that in a second. But it goes from left to right on the car and it bends down onto the rear floor. You get some edging on it, obviously, around the gearbox there, but then on the left and right sides. Now, you'll find when you fit this in the car, and again, this is semi down to the inconsistencies on the factory production line or changes that may have been made over the years. Some of them fit absolutely perfectly. Some of them are slightly too big left to right, but that's almost done intentionally. It's better to be too big than too short. And what you'll actually find is that some of this is lost behind the adjacent quarter panel and wheel arch area just to the left and right. I've got some great photos that a customer sent me a few years ago detailing a part trimmed element of that, and it really does answer that question straight away. So do bear that in mind. You'll find some of them, they fit absolutely beautifully, other ones you have to tuck it behind, but it still looks very nice because the panel sits on top of the carpet, and so you get the effect of flawless integration between the two parts anyway, so just bear that in mind. But that's the main piece there. Obviously you'll end up cutting a hole in it there, which we don't do again deliberately, because that should be done during the actual fitment process to make sure it fits your car. So you get that. Then you get this piece here, which is effectively trimmed to the actual lid of the battery box area. So obviously underneath here is where they stored the batteries on the early Healeys, the BN1s and the BN2s. It's worth noting this rear deck kit is actually the same for a BN2. The carpet set's unique for a BN1, but the rear deck kit's universal for BN1 and BN2, just FYI. So yeah, you get a actual panel, this bit here, and this, again, same principle as the bits I was talking about here. They get vinyl sewn to the edges of them, and it's wrapped round there and trimmed to the panel, and that effectively sits on top. Then you have this rectangular piece here, which is a semi-new addition to our kit the last few years after feedback from a couple of guys. That effectively goes on the inside of the battery lid sort of box area underneath. Doesn't get any edging on it on that one there. Then you get the spare wheel cover and the carpet, or Armorc for originality's sake, piece, which goes directly behind the seats here. So it kind of goes into the boot trunk area, as you can see there. So that square underneath that tyre there would be that piece of material there. Then you get the actual sewn cover for the spare wheel cover. This one's been done in vinyl. Customer did and ah about doing it in leather, but he was worried, I think rightfully so, about the leather getting damaged given the fact that a massive tyre was going in it. So up to you, we can offer it in leather if you want, but I think most people sensibly would just go for vinyl on that section there. But it's all pre-sewn, has the piping, top stitching, etc. all done on it. And then finally you get the sort of rear deck element. So that's the bit that spans from left to right, goes round where the opening is. The spare wheel's slightly lopsided in the car. You can see there it's slightly over to the right if you're facing forward, left in this photo here. So that's this piece here, which is effectively the kind of rear bulkhead section there, which again has some binding to it. And then it has Similar principle again with that vinyl, which, just FYI, we've been taping it down to try and keep it tucked around and neat, which is why it looks a bit odd in that regard. But yeah, so it gets vinyl sewn to the top edge there again, because that is used to attach it to the actual bodywork section there. Again, that piece there, you'll find curves round the corner and tucks underneath adjacent panels. Again, ask for some photos if you're unsure. Then the last pieces of the rear deck kit, they also include the wheel arch covers. The wheel arch covers are not particularly visible in any of these photos. Oh yeah, there you are, just to the side of the spare wheel there. So you can see that rear bulkhead piece bends all the way around and almost tucks underneath the quarter panel. So that bend all the way around the corner and tuck underneath the quarter panel part. Anyway, the wheel arches are those pieces there, just to the left and right of the spare wheel there. Now typically they're done in vinyl. This customer has actually done them in leather, because obviously we wanted them to tie in with his door panels, which he's done in leather as a complete upgrade kit. But they're pre-sewn materials, in this case leather, and they're piped. The piping disappears down the front there, that's intentional, and then we leave enough excess on the back there, which gives you something to pull onto during the trimming process, and then you lose it once the adjacent pieces are all fitted to the car. So I think that covers it. Yeah, I reckon that's about it. So thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts. Be sure to check out the other videos at the end of this one, as it will link to other in-depth dives into these particular products. But there'll also be links to other kits that you may wish to consider. So like I said, we're going to be doing a boot, trunk and rear deck kit for this same kit here to showcase those. But yeah, be sure to check out generally our YouTube channel. I've done it to really showcase the quality and workmanship of our kits. We're known globally for it, and we try to put as many photos on our website as possible, but nothing quite does it like a video, which is why I'm doing them. So please do give me feedback. I do the videos off the top of my head. I realise sometimes I can be a bit left, right and centre on them, but any feedback welcome. Please do write some things in the comments, and of course do contact us directly if you have a Healey that you want us to help you restore. More than happy to help. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Please remember to tune in next time, and I will see you then. Thank you.